Spanish time, 10 minutes late, but we will try to be on time, only 10 minutes late. So 1 minute more, and we just begin. Thank you very much for coming. So welcome to the third edition of this Communications Technology Consultants Day. This is the first event that we are organizing our group using our new name. We have changed the name. Last year we were the Society of Telecommunications Consultants. Today we are the Society of Communications Technology Consultants International. We are a group of true independent consultants, and we advise independently to enterprises and governments how to use in the right way the communications technologies. Really, we have prepared today, I think, done an amazing content. The objective is that you don't sleep during the presentation, because really we have here members of the group and also members of our vendor advisor council. Because in our group are consultants, but also are members, because what we try is to have fluent relations between all the players of the industry in order to provide a better advice. And look for the best solutions available. No? And so really we have prepared these two panels. The idea is open also the discussion to the floor. This is a debate of ideas. The idea is that you can get significant information and you enrich with new concepts, new ideas, and with different point of view. The reality is polyhedric, and it's never good to have only one point of view. So we have two panels today. One is about how is the international market, how you can contract IT infrastructures and IT services internationally, which are the best practices. And for example, only one idea that it's there, then really we are in a global village today, and in this horrible economical situation, what is clear is that the Spanish companies, that they are working around the world, they are overcoming better the crisis than the other, than only are working in one market. Okay. So really, networks are the nervous systems of any organization. The expertise is distributed through the organization. We are working every day more in multinational and multidisciplinary teams, and this is what is this about. So I have prepared to this amazing table that we have today some questions to open the debate. The session will be organized, and each member of the panel will have 5-10 minutes to explain or to his ideas, and after will be open a debate. Also, I encourage the members of the attendants to ask any questions, to do any comment. Feel free, and so I have here some questions. Which are the best practices to successfully contract global IT services and infrastructures? Is it realistic to contract a global network service provider, or we might remain contract local providers? And the first member of the panel, it's amazing for me. It's really, I am proud to introduce you, Dave Steen, president of Teleplus Consulting from Minneapolis. Thank you very much for visit us to come here to Barcelona. You are lucky to have better weather than in Minneapolis. And this horrible winter in United States. Thank you very much. Dave, Dave has the best clients because he's working with most of the companies of Wall Street, like JP Morgan, for example. He contracts millions and millions of dollars in services each year, and his clients are using millions of devices online. So, Dave, thank you very much. He has prepared an amazing presentation about one of his case real projects. Thank you, Dave. Craig, can you move the presentation?
All right, thank you, Augustine. And thank you for inviting me to come to this conference. Teleplus Consulting consists of roughly 20 independent reps around the world. And it is a multi-million-dollar consulting business. We have 50 or so of the Fortune 500 as clients. And I negotiate for almost 3 million wireless telephones each year and over $2 billion of services from primarily U.S. vendors. The presentation today is on whether you pick a global carrier or a local carrier, a regional carrier for your services, and I can tell you, basically it all depends. There are certain requirements clients have and certain benefits that carriers have, and you have to analyze all of those things as you look at what the best choices are for the clients. All right, so in the roughly 10 years I've been a member of this group, I have never discussed how I operate, what I even really do with Augustine or any of the other members of the group. And as far as best practices, I know what works for me. You guys will tell me, you're all independent consultants, you guys will tell me if I'm doing best practices or not, but I will tell you that what I do works very, very well, at least in my circumstance. I boil down best practices into two areas. There's just two things you have to do in your practice. Number one is make the client happy, and number two, make the consultant happy. And if the client can't be happy, then reverse that order and make the consultant happy. All right, so I asked a number of clients if I could use their negotiations as a case study. And of course, Ecolab, which is, if you go into any restroom, you probably see the soap dispensers, and it's Ecolab, and they have grown dramatically in a couple of years with acquisitions, and they agreed to allow me to use their case study as long as I didn't use their name. So ignore that I said it was Ecolab. Okay, so the client overview here. this particular client, which we all know who it is, has an $11 billion in sales. They're Fortune 500. They are growing dramatically, mostly international growth. And so as I look at a project like that, I want to analyze, what does the client want? What is the result that they want at the end of the day? If I get that result, that makes the client happy, and of course then they pay their fee, and that makes me happy. And my minimum fee is $250,000. So I need to get good results for clients to be willing to pay that kind of fee. Also, I want them to renew me, and Ecolab has renewed me 2 times so far, and I would expect next year will renew me again. Okay, so then, as you're analyzing things, you have to look at what the current state is, what they're doing today, where their problems are. And what's really interesting, I worked with finance, procurement, and IT. So all 3 groups. And all 3 groups had different requirements. And of course, the finance guys didn't want me to tell the IT guys what their requirements were. So I had to kind of balance everything there. And of course, anytime there is an acquisition, you reduce headcount. That's what the finance guys want. So anyway, they're headquartered in the U.S. They have, and they'd only let me tell you about the 500 locations because they've made a recent acquisition, and it's really 650 locations now. Only 250 in the U.S., the rest of them scattered around the world. Many in China and Asia and South America. And they were very unhappy with their current vendor. Not the regional vendors, but the current basic main vendor in the United States. Very unhappy, and told me at the start that they wanted to switch. And then, of course, they wanted one vendor, and they wanted one main vendor, a backup vendor for failover on the MPLS network, and finally, of course, finance wanted it managed, although I couldn't tell IT they wanted it managed because they wanted to reduce headcount by half. And of course, part of the job also is to then educate the client on what that means to change vendors, and the risk that is involved in changing vendors. So, and I'm not going to read all of these things to you. And of course, the major goal was to double the bandwidth and cut the cost in half. Okay, so those were my constraints. And we've already talked about most of the things on this slide. And again, the key thing is to make sure the result you get is what the client wants. All right, local. Generally, they were pleased with their local providers and not pleased with their main provider. And because of these acquisitions, they were moving toward a more centralized purchasing versus regional purchasing. So they had a lot of regional vendors that the regional guys were happy with, and then central procurement wanted to control all the purchases. And so there was some discord within the company on which way to go. Global benefits, primarily it's just easier for vendor management. I mean, you simply have one NOC to go to and one place to place orders, and with centralized procurement, you can better control what's going in to all your facilities worldwide, and also when you move a facility, what goes out, so you don't get duplicate billing. Okay, so I could not tell you who their current vendors were or are, but I could tell you the list of who we looked at. And the only one on here that you might wonder why it isn't there is Telefonica. And the reason, and I am so sorry, Augustine, but the reason is Telefonica would not respond to our requests early on, and so they were the first vendor eliminated. I hope there's no one from Telefonica in the room.
There were some brands registered.
But I wish they had been, because
let me see if I see some.
yeah, there were hundreds of locations in Latin America and Europe, and Telefonica I thought would be one of the key vendors, and they just did not. Their American office did not respond. Okay, so anyway, these were the vendors we looked at. And then I have to tell you that the client was quite disorganized, and I negotiate contracts. That's all I do. I don't put MPLS systems in. I don't tell them which equipment to buy. I don't do anything other than, because of my database of contracts, I know what the big guys are paying for services, so I know what my client should pay for services. So because the client was so disorganized, they scared the hell out of me. All I'm thinking about now is how to turn these two goals from make the client happy and make the consultant happy to make sure I'm happy and get my $250,000. So I was concerned enough, I wrote an RFP, and I hate writing RFPs. You guys may like it, I don't, because I know where the pricing should be at the end anyway, but I was so concerned if they're switching vendors, we better cross all the bridges, so I wrote an RFP and sent it out to these vendors. And I write RFPs different than most people. In this particular case, I asked for 4 alternate bids. A standard MPLS network, VPLS network, virtual private LAN network, the regional hub option, because I wasn't sure if regional would be the best way to go or global would be the best way to go. And then, I don't think I'm the brightest guy in the whole world on some of these things. How do you know that the vendor can't come up with an alternate solution? So I always ask for an alternate solution. If you think it's better to do it a different way than what I've asked for, tell us. We'll look at it. And then there is another tool that I always use, and that's I tell the vendors what the price should be. So the target pricing model is, I call it TPM, target pricing. On every deal, whether it's an RFP or not, I send out a target pricing model and tell the vendor, here's where you need to be to get the deal. Okay, so then we had multiple rounds, and you can never get the best price in the first deal. I'm just telling you, first go around. So the main incumbent on some of their circuits were 948% higher than the target price that I knew other clients had gotten for those same circuits, which was just crazy. And their bid was high by double some of the other guys. And of course, the regional guys had the best price for their particular region. And PACNet's a very good carrier in Asia, and KDDI is very good carrier in Asia, and Telmex in Latin America. So the regional guys had very good bids. But remember, I need to make the client happy. So we were talking about this one global provider And so we eliminated, and here's the key to getting a good price if you don't care who the vendor is going to be. In the very first round, we eliminated their incumbents. Very first round, they're out. And I tell the other carriers the incumbents are out. Okay, the minute you do that, now they really think they have a shot at it. So then the second round, they dropped their bids by 30%. So you have your first bid. Now just dropped, just by eliminating the incumbent, dropped 30%. Okay, then we had another round, and after that we dropped it down to 2 vendors. And here's where some of the things I do you may not like, but I knew that finance wanted management, and I had never told the carriers management was involved at all. All I was looking at is the best price for the circuit. And once I felt I had the best price for the circuit, so remember that price is always the most important thing. Get that price first, then start to ask about other kinds of things. So then I opened it up to the 2 remaining vendors for management, and happened to be that the clients, all their Cisco routers were end of life, so we needed all new equipment. All right, so then we went to the final round, and we selected a primary vendor as long as we worked out all of the other finance issues, that they would be the ones. And once they knew they were selected, and it was BT, by the way, so it went from a U.S. primary to a global primary. And once we told them that they were in the finals, the price started dropping again, and ultimately ended up half of their original bid for the circuits. And then, because they wanted the management so badly, we got the management and all new routers, worldwide 600 routers, for 30% more than the network cost. So ultimately what happened is their price dropped. Overall, they got all new gear, all new management, and they were able to cut their current costs by 1/3. So we doubled the bandwidth and cut their costs by 1/3, and then they were able to reduce the management costs, so they cut half of their staff in the IT area that managed the network. So that is basically my presentation. I'm sorry if I went too long, but you never know if it should be global or local. You have to look at both options, and it all depends on all the circumstances. So anyone have any questions at all?
Dave, thank you very much. It's clear that you live in another planet with these amazing figures. But as I mentioned it before, we want to have different point of views, and so in the other side of the table, to be honest, I don't know why we are split between consultants in this side and vendors in the other side, but it was not much intention, because all must be aligned to
They're
provide.
in the right. We are in the right.
So, but of course, what we like are discussions. English mean of the word. No discutir. It's too strong word in Spanish. We like discussion, so we have invited people from the other side, vendors, not the other side, from a different point of view, but we have today two emerging, two innovative, not two incumbent carriers. That's true, and I think there was some. Of course, if there is some guy of incumbent carrier in the floor, he also later can provide also his vision. And so we have two different carriers. And I would like first to introduce David Seco. He's from Trufone. He will explain because of course it's a new player in the industry, and he will introduce first his company. But they are a company that basically provide mobile services worldwide, trying to avoid the roaming cost. This is also, as you know, the European Commission wants to eliminate the roaming cost at least in Europe. So it's roaming cost could be very high and an unexpected cost sometimes. So David is also a veteran of the telecom industry. He has been working with the most important carriers, and so it's a pleasure to and thank you for coming.
Thank you, Agustin. I'm going to swap to Spanish because we are here. So my presentation is in Spanish as well. Estaba bromeando antes con lo del lado derecho o izquierdo. Bueno, vengo un poco en el papel de comentaros cuáles son vamos a decir, la situación, las tendencias actuales respecto a cómo funcionan las empresas o las personas a nivel internacional. Es decir, estamos hablando de global, local, y me gustaría un poco profundizar en este aspecto. Y luego os paso, o mejor pongo un vídeo que muestra qué es Trufone y qué hace Trufone, y cómo, que casi es tan importante como decir qué es lo que hace. Primero, es una obviedad hablar hoy de que la gente, vamos a decir, utiliza mucho la voz y los datos muchísimo más que antes, y sobre todo los datos, tanto a nivel nacional como a nivel internacional. Tanto como que hace en el 2012, a principios de 2012, estábamos en España utilizando unos 18.000 teras al día de datos, y hoy estamos en más de 40.000 al día, con lo cual la evolución yo creo que es clarísima. También hay otro dato muy importante, y es la parte de la globalización. Hay muchísima expansión alrededor del mundo. Afortunadamente, por ejemplo, en España los últimos datos de exportaciones son un 5,2% más que en el año anterior, lo cual esto implica que hay relaciones exteriores, también hay interiores, y gente que sale y gente que actúa a nivel local, pero hay mucha gente que sale. Y sin duda, vamos a decir, la parte de movilización. Aquí estamos hablando de comunicaciones en general. Yo quizás me esté moviendo un poco más en la parte de movilidad, pero también hay datos que son, la verdad es que asombrosos. Es que hoy estamos en España en 30 millones de líneas de banda ancha en movilidad y unos 12 en fija. Ya sé que esto es un poco tricky, pero sí es cierto que hay 30 millones de móviles que hoy están utilizando banda ancha. Dicho esto, hay un hecho que es muy curioso, y es que la gente, cuando utiliza la banda ancha o utiliza tanto la voz dentro del país, y esto sí que es generalizado, no solo por aquí, sino yo creo que en todo el mundo, pues su comportamiento es absolutamente diferente que cuando tiene que viajar. Entonces aquí hay un gap, un desfase, que viene dado sobre todo por el coste de las comunicaciones, por la calidad del servicio en las comunicaciones, y también por el soporte que recibe ese usuario cuando no se encuentra dentro de, digamos, su hogar o de su entorno de confianza o de comodidad. Dicho esto, hicimos unas encuestas, y DC, Gartner y todas estas hacen un montón de encuestas, y básicamente el 70% de las empresas decían que efectivamente este gap se debe al tema del coste. Pero a su vez también saben que es necesario trabajar en un entorno internacional, y que por tanto van a buscar la manera de intentar reducir estos gaps, estas barreras que ahora mismo tienen. Otro 25% reconoce que le falta productividad. No solo está fijándose exclusivamente en el coste, sino que también sabe que cuando se va fuera y hoy la voz, que bueno, se te caiga una llamada, que no escuches bien, es relativamente importante, lo es, pero que cuando estamos hablando de datos es todavía mucho más crucial el hecho de que se te corten las comunicaciones, de que vaya muy lento, sin pensar ni siquiera en el coste. Entonces, la calidad de red es también algo que afortunadamente las empresas también tienen en cuenta. Y el 70% básicamente de estas empresas ahora mismo están buscando soluciones que pueden ser soluciones, algunas un poco estrambóticas, raras, pero al fin y al cabo les está solucionando una parte de la papeleta hoy en día. Estas soluciones básicamente las reducimos en 4. Una son utilizar los planes de cualquier operadora, digamos, tradicional o incumbente tradicional, diría yo, lo cual básicamente es decir, bueno, pues tengo una tarifa, si puedo, más barata o con un descuento, pero tengo la misma calidad u otra o peor calidad que si estoy con otro operador, y el servicio que voy a tener como atención al cliente va a ser exactamente, exactamente no, peor que si estuviera en local. Con lo cual, mi foco al ir a este tipo de operadoras es que estoy buscando exclusivamente el precio, si es que lo consigo. Otra de las soluciones que están buscando es el tema de utilizar una SIM local, lo cual conlleva que tienes que tener un contrato en otro sitio, que posiblemente necesites otro terminal, posiblemente no tengas un contrato fijo porque cuando estés en tu país entonces seguirás pagando y no te merece la pena. Bueno, tiene una serie de inconvenientes un poco obvios que yo creo que hay empresas que lo están haciendo, pero no les está funcionando muy bien. La parte del Wi-Fi, pues lo de siempre. Sabemos que nos ata donde estemos, si estamos en un hotel. La parte de la voz, utilizamos una aplicación de voz IP. No tenemos identificación. Es decir, para uno de los valores de gente que viaja y que hacen negocios fuera de su país es que cuando llama o cuando recibe una llamada sepan quién es. O sea, yo afortunadamente luego os contaré, yo tengo 8 números de teléfono en una sola SIM porque trabajo en Trufón. Y claro, que yo llame a mis colegas de otro país, Hong Kong, Estados Unidos, donde sea, y vean mi número norteamericano, mi número inglés o mi número hongkonés, me dicen, ¿estás por aquí? Digo, no, estoy en España. Pero me tiene identificado y me tendrá identificado siempre porque mi número siempre irá conmigo, igual que cualquier número local. Entonces, eso para hacer negocios es muy importante, cosa que ninguna de estas soluciones pues te las da, ¿no? Y luego el uso de la SIM prepago, pues es un poco también obvio recalcar que el utilizar, cuando estamos hablando de negocios, una SIM prepago de otro país, si voy muy poco es una solución, pero si habitualmente lo utilizo no es una solución muy fiable, muy profesional. Básicamente os cuento todo esto para deciros que hay una solución a todos estos inconvenientes y nosotros hemos buscado el cómo hacerlo. Somos Trufón, nos denominamos el primer operador móvil global, y digo global porque realmente somos globales en el sentido de tanto de red, de acceso, de servicio de atención al cliente, como de tarjeta SIM, que es la misma en todos los países, como de precios, que son los mismos para todos los clientes del mundo, como de todo. Cuando hablamos de un operador que tiene una marca global, estamos hablando de alguien que tiene en un país un número de teléfono, una red, un servicio de atención al cliente, una factura local, etcétera, etcétera. Y esa misma marca te vas a otro país y tiene otra SIM diferente, otra factura, otras personas que te atienden, etcétera, etcétera. Entonces, es muy diferente ser una marca global a ser realmente un operador global. Lo que nosotros hemos querido hacer es un operador global y alguien que preste servicios a empresas que necesiten ese soporte y esa comunicación de calidad a nivel global. ¿Cómo hemos hecho esto? Básicamente de 3 maneras. La primera, sacar con mucha innovación y sacar una SIM que es prácticamente un ordenador, que lo que te permite es tener muchos números en la misma SIM. Cuando digo muchos números, son números propios, no son números que están virtuales ni nada de esto, sino es un número como local De hecho, son tantos números locales como en países ahora mismo está establecido Trufón, que es en 8. Estos números locales lo que te permiten es viajar a cualquiera de los países y cuando tú cruzas esa frontera, tu número principal, por decirlo de alguna manera, es el de ese país, con lo cual todas las llamadas, tanto de recepción como de emisión, son locales. Para hacer esto, obviamente, hemos tenido que crear una red global, tenemos un sistema de facturación global, pero yo creo que lo mejor es que veáis un vídeo que no dura mucho, os lo prometo. Y
But the idea for TruePhone really came about because I don't have any cellular coverage at my home. Not having coverage was something that I thought I could fix. We're on our email all the time, we're on all of these sophisticated services, and if you go abroad and you cannot access them, you're sort of dysfunctional. The whole idea was that you had the internet and you had mobile telephony and you could put them together. We built a single network for the whole world.
TruePhone has built a global network on a fundamental premise that global networks, mobile networks, should be built without consideration for country borders, which is completely different than most operators today. We bring you closer to your contacts. With TruePhone, I have one SIM card with 8 international numbers on it that effectively make me a local in those 8 countries.
So you can have an American number and a German number and an Australian number. That means that when you call someone in your American office, they see your American number and they will phone you back. So you've sort of suddenly become this person who is everywhere all at the same time.
When a business traveler with TruePhone lands in one of our countries, he's instantly local. There's no need to switch on roaming because for us it's all one virtual country.
There's no secret here. TruePhone will save you quite a lot of money. If you are 2 people in New York with TruePhone and you phone each other, that call will stay in America. So that's a terrific advantage in quality. We break the data out in the local country. So that means that we can get really very high data rates, second to none.
We provide you a bundle of minutes that works across our footprint. When I go to the US or when I go to Hong Kong, I'm using the same bundle of minutes and the same bundle of data that I use when I'm here in the UK, because for us it's all one virtual country. When you're in the TruePhone zone, you're always at home, regardless of where you are. We provide an unparalleled service experience.
We will FedEx you over a new phone, we'll fix your SIM. We have once met someone off an aeroplane and handed them a phone as they got off it.
Our help is always available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, regardless of where customers may be located physically in the world or what time of day it may be there.
Will it change the industry? Probably. We want to allow people to communicate and be connected wherever they are.
The reason we built it this way was because it was fundamentally the right thing to do for customers. I absolutely believe that it will enable our customers to stay more connected in their business life as well as their personal lives.
Bueno, espero que haya quedado un poco claro. Básicamente, y ya terminando, damos respuesta a todos estos desafíos que planteábamos al principio de la presentación, ¿no? Tenemos, yo creo que los contactos mucho más cerca gracias a tener muchos números en una SIM que te pertenecen a ti, que no son virtuales, que las personas saben que cuando tú llamas saben quién eres y ellos te pueden llamar a ti desde allá donde estén y donde estés tú, a ellos les va a dar igual porque el coste va a ser absolutamente local, aunque tú estés en Hong Kong o estés en Australia o estés porque al final el número al que llaman va a ser local. Por supuesto, toda la gestión es de un solo buzón de voz. A mí me pueden llamar ahora mismo quien sea, 8 a la vez, no sé qué pasaría, pero obviamente solo hay un buzón donde yo lo gestiono y me da igual desde dónde me llamen y a qué número llamen. Por supuesto, a nivel de productividad, nosotros a nivel de red estamos en muchos países del mundo y tenemos diferentes hubs en diferentes partes del mundo, con lo cual tú cuando viajas, si por ejemplo con un otro operador que estás a nivel local, digamos aquí, o me da igual en cualquier otro país, y tú sales fuera, todos tus datos, toda tu voz vuelven a ese país y vuelven otra vez a ese país y viajan por todo el mundo. Aquí siempre te enganchas al hub más cercano a donde tú estés, con lo cual conseguimos una gran rapidez y calidad tanto de voz como de datos. Luego no voy a hablar de temas porque también innovamos en lo que es la parte de la comercialización, pero eso sale para otro foro. Respecto al servicio global, en el vídeo se veía una cosa y a mí me gusta contar siempre una anécdota, ¿no? Ahí nos han pasado muchas veces que alguien, y supongo que igual alguno de vosotros también, ha tenido algún problema en algún aeropuerto, y yo me acuerdo, una persona tuvo un problema en un aeropuerto de Londres donde tenía un problema con la SIM y dice, pero es que el caso es que estoy en Londres y me voy a Hong Kong. Llamó a nuestro servicio de atención al cliente y cuando llegó al hotel en Hong Kong tenía un terminal con una SIM, la misma con los mismos números, etcétera, etcétera. Esto no lo puede hacer cualquiera y para mí esto es, vamos a decir, pensar o actuar globalmente, pero también de una manera local, estar en los dos sitios o en los dos sitios en todo el mundo, cosa que no es sencilla. ¿Y por qué nadie ha hecho esto antes? Pues porque esto no es tan sencillo, el crear una red global desde un punto de vista global, el crear una facturación que esté en un sitio pero que yo pueda facturarte a cualquier empresa del mundo porque tenemos los mismos planes de precios para una empresa de Estados Unidos que para una empresa de Hong Kong, que para una empresa de Albacete, y que tener un servicio de atención al cliente también en muchas partes del mundo, aunque esté centralizado en Inglaterra en este caso, tampoco es sencillo. Detrás de todo esto hay mucha investigación, mucha inversión, mucho esfuerzo, que pensando desde el principio en ser globales y actuar también localmente, pues se puede conseguir, en vez de ir comprando pequeños operadores en cada sitio. Y esto es todo. Muchísimas gracias por atenderme.
David, la verdad es que tengo muchas preguntas, pero las guardaremos para el debate.
Perfecto.
So let's move again to another consultant. Now I would like to introduce you Craig Robinson from BBW Consultants. He's from London. He also has a great experience, and as you know, in London there are London is London, and it's full of opportunities, and he has a lot of experience with different local and also international clients. I also want to thank Craig because he is the second time that we have Craig, also David, as a speaker. So and now let's move again to the left side. And Craig, welcome.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm English, so I won't be speaking in Spanish. The English are well known for our grasp of language. So if it's okay, I will present this in Catalan, if that's perhaps not. I want to just give you a brief update on some of the trends that we're seeing in the market around international sourcing. And then, am I a bit quiet? I'm not usually accused of being too quiet. To give you some of the trends and then see some of the problems that our clients are identifying when they're looking at these kind of services. So firstly, for those of you that were here last year, I gave you some bad news around changes in services. I'm pleased to say this year I can give you some good news. The consultancy market and the telecommunications market in the UK has significantly, very significantly changed